I
So
know.
basically, I have there is interviews that I have done, some in English, some in mostly in Portuguese, but some in English with Lauren Brown. There are two of them there.
You live in Portugal?
Yeah, I live in Portugal.
Our my I'm Muslim and our spiritual leader moved to Portugal. So I'm really
Oh,
excited
really?
to go there one day. Yeah, His Highness
Oh,
the Aga Khan.
oh, from the Aga Khan Foundation.
Yes.
You are
Miss
is it
Miley.
Ismaili?
Yes.
Many years ago, I organized with a friend of mine. We organized for several years the Congress of, let me see, Multidisciplinary Congress for Health Nutrition.
Wow.
And the first one we did was in the Aga Khan Foundation.
Oh wow. Neat.
So it was for free. And of
Yes.
course, we couldn't sell anything, but it's normal. I mean, if they gave us the room for free, which was quite a big room. We had 500 people,
Right.
and they were not all there at the same time. Otherwise, it would be impossible. But there were like 300 in the morning, 250 in the afternoon, something like this. And they're very nice, very, very nice.
Right.
Also, I'm good friend of the Sakur family. So actually, it was through them that I could go to the Aga Khan Foundation. So
Wonderful.
it's interesting. They have a very nice place in Lisbon. It's so beautiful. Yes,
Yeah.
it's really beautiful place. And everything is so clean inside, so bright. And
Wow.
it really is a wonderful place. And they do a very good work for service. They really do a lot of work. So it's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank God for yeah.
very nice. And really I had a very good experience being there. That's very good.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another interview at Metaphysical Hub. And with me, I have Isabel Costa. And I had the great pleasure of meeting Isabel Costa through Shlomo Shoham. And I've been learning from Isabel for the last few months here and deepening, I would say is a good word, deepening into myself as a result of my interactions with Isabel Costa. And I want to share her with you now. And so, Isabel, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, your past, where you grew up, a little bit about your life.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me. This is really a great honor for me. I'm very happy to be with you in this interview, really.
Happy birthday. This is her birthday present.
Yes, thank you very much. So I was born in Portugal 61 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, so my childhood had a lot of challenges, especially challenges with my mother, which ended up becoming actually an amazing way for me to get into healing, in fact. And when I was 10 years old, I was in the hospital. I had a surgery and I was really near crossing over. And at some point, when I became better, there was one day that I was looking at the sunrise at 6 a.m. And even though I was 10 years old, I felt God for the first time in my life with the sunrise. And then just a few days later, as soon as I could get up, get out of bed, the first thing that I did was going to church. So I walked a few stairs, a few levels up, and I went to church. I was not really looking for a religion, but I was looking for a place where I could talk with God and feel that presence again now close to me. So when I was 13 years old, I started to visit different churches. I asked my mother many times what was life's purpose. And she tried her best, of course. according to what she knew and she felt, and she would tell me, well, the purpose is for you to study, have a career, get married, have a husband and house and car and children, and then you die one day. And I was being silent and say, that's it. I mean, I have nothing against,
Yes, of
against
course.
this. It's just that it seems that there has to be something else. Life's purpose can't be that. Okay, that is part of life, but
Yeah,
that can't be life's purpose. There has to be more than that.
right.
And my mother said, no, no, life is this, you suffer and those kind of things. And I said, but if it just ends here, this doesn't make sense.
So I want to
If
go
there
back.
isn't anything else, I would rather not live.
Yes. Wow.
This was difficult for my mother because it wouldn't make sense for me.
Wow. I want to go back just a little bit and where you said that you felt God and tell us then, what does it mean to feel God for you? What happened in that sunset, that
The sunrise.
the sunrise? What happened in that sunrise that you felt God? What exactly? Describe that to us.
It is not easy.
I know.
It was like if that sun was coming into me and I was part of it, but being part of the whole, like I'm not just me, I'm more than that. And when I was younger, I saw several times the spiritual world.
Wow.
But of course, I couldn't understand anything. I just could see several things. Anyway, and then that moment with the sunrise was like my whole body becoming warmer and the sun integrating in me, and I was feeling part of the whole. So, and I felt this is God. So, this was what just my mind could reach, but I felt like I want to talk with him,
Yes.
you know? And that's why I felt I need to go to the church to talk with him. Not because he's just there, but because that is a place where my heart can feel him more, you know? So I couldn't do more than this, but it was this feeling. And that's why then later on, around 13, I started to visit different churches. So, and this was in this search for life's purpose, because I felt it was more, life's purpose was more than just all of these material things and just having a family. And again, as I say, family is very important. So I have nothing against it. Although, on the contrary, I feel really family is the base for society, for peace in society. But the point was that there has to be a higher purpose. And the family is part of that higher purpose, is part, but there has to be something more. So then I visit different churches. At some point, when I was 14, I joined the Mormon church. And I was there for 2 years. And then I had boyfriend, uh, just started in that age. And my mother said, well, you choose. Either you go to the church or you go out for a date.
Right.
With 16 years old, it was difficult, So I stopped going to the church, even though with my heart a little bit tight. Anyway, so of course the boyfriend didn't go so far, 1 year later, everything was gone. And when I was 18 years old, I met unification movement.
Unification movement?
Unification movement. It's an international ecumenical movement. So then I started to listen to the divine principle, and that really touched my heart very deeply. And then one day I came home after listening those lectures, and I said to my mother, I found life's purpose. But without God, without God's love, people
Well,
can't feel God's purpose. So 1 year later, I became a missionary. And I was a missionary for 14 years. I lived in different countries, in Germany, in America, in South Korea, in Italy. So it was really a very beautiful journey. Then at some point, I left the movement, and I decided that it was time to do something else. So I went back to study because I felt I want to continue to serve, and I felt I needed to go back to my studies. So this was very interesting because I decided that I want to study international relations,
oh,
like the science of international relations. So I repeated the year before college, and I was the best student in school. I had the grades are from 0 to 20, I had 19. So I was the best student of the school. And then in the final exam, I just mixed up the exam. I had to answer one question from group A and another from group B. And even though I read that many times, I answered two from the group B.
oh,
So then, even though there were more questions, but still, in the end, the average between the exam and my year grade, I had 16.3. So then I went to college to see if I could join the college or not that year. And I needed to have 16.5.
oh my God.
And at that moment, I thought, this is not the way for me. God has something else prepared. And then the following year, I met the school where I studied Naturopathy for 4 years. So then it was very clear that was my path.
I'm
My
studying it
path
now.
was healing. Even though it was not clear from the healing from the beginning, was more healing on the physical level. So for 4 years, I studied alternative medicines from all of those areas, acupuncture, osteopathy, and so on. But the area that really touched me was nutrition. And actually, I was born on the International Nutrition Day. This is also very interesting.
So something somehow our what happens in our life is consistent with what we're drawn to or interested in, then I guess.
Yes.
Oh, well,
Yeah, it's very interesting. So then, this was really my quest to help people to be healthier and happier through food, through a good diet, health, proper nutrition. And at some point, something happened to me. I drove a motorbike for 10 years. And at some point, I started to drive a car. And in 3 months, I lost it 10 kilos. I don't know how much is this in pounds in America.
right.
But anyway, it's quite a lot
Yeah, it's a
in
lot.
3 months,
Probably like
And I was wondering, why did I lose weight?
right.
you know, because like I didn't change my diet. I was already vegetarian for many years. I've been vegetarian since 1988. So this was in the year of 2004, 2002, 2003, sorry. 2003. So I was already vegetarian for many years. I didn't have any health issue. I was not taking anything to lose weight. I thought, what happened? This is very strange, you
Right.
know. And then I started to look inside. And I thought, the only thing that changed here was my way of transportation. So what happened in one and another? And then I realized that many times I felt a lot of fear and insecurity, not because of driving a motorbike, because I really enjoyed that. There were people following me, men were following me, and so on. Not nice. So, like, my body kept the weight in order to protect me.
Wow.
And when I was driving the car, I felt safe.
Mhm.
So my body naturally dropped that weight. And then I started to realize at that point the power of subconscious thoughts
Mhm.
and emotions, because that was not even conscious. I was not aware, you know. So then I started to look at the connection between emotions and food. This was very interesting. And I started to realize that there is a connection between the emotion, the food, and the organ.
Yeah.
For example, when people are sad, and of course, this only works with people who do like emotional eating. This is not for everyone, it's not a law, but for the ones who have this emotional eating. But normally, when people are sad, they tend to eat chocolate.
Oh, wow.
And sadness is connected with the lungs.
That's interesting.
When people are anxious, they eat anything, either sweet, bitter, sour, spicy, whatever, because the point is just to distract the mind. So they don't really care of what they are eating. And anxiety affects the stomach, as we know,
Wow.
ulcers, gastritis, and so on. When people are angry, the organ affected is the liver. And when they are just upset, irritated, is the gallbladder. And this gives us cravings for fried things, while the liver is for meat and hard stuff. So it is very interesting. And I was starting to look at this and realize, wow, this opened up a totally new way in my appointments with my patients. And I started to make this connection. Instead of asking the people just what they eat, I would ask them, what do you feel? So open up an amazing way of healing. And so my life has been going through several steps. It's
Right.
like not just rational or intellectual knowledge, is really through my processes of transformation. Then my next process of transformation,
I interviewed somebody who talked about German New Medicine. Are you familiar with German New Medicine?
I heard that name. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly, but I have heard that name.
It links emotion to each organ in your body, and it links the idea that any disease that we get in our body is as a result of an emotion that happened in our past somewhere, some stuck point, some point in our life where something happened that created a physical shock big enough to create a physical disease. It's quite fascinating.
That is the next step.
Go ahead.
It's very interesting that you're saying that. That is my next step. So, my next step, I had a situation where I had a cut in my body. I don't want to say exactly the place where it was because it's a very sensitive area. So, somehow it's
Yeah.
possible to figure out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the cut. Okay.
And that cut wouldn't heal with anything.
Right.
It was really, really painful for almost 3 months. I went to doctors, I put several creams and so on, nothing worked. And that wound wouldn't close. And one day I heard a hypnotherapist speaking. I went to talk with her and I said, well, I have this problem. Do you think you can help me? I have done so many things. And she said, oh, we can solve that in one session. And I was like, in my mind, like millions of question marks. I thought, what? But then I thought, okay, well, even if this is not real, there is an experience and I have nothing to lose because there are no side effects. So I decided to give it a try. And the reality is that it closed 80%. And in the second session, it was totally healed. So then I started my new process.
Right.
So for 2 years, I did therapy. 1 year, I did therapy every month. And then the second year, I did some months I did, some I didn't. And then only after that, I started hypnotherapy, which actually I'm certified by the IACT in USA. And then it started my process, it was so beautiful, all of the transformation that it brought to my life, and the realization that so many things that we have, whether they are physical problems or relationship problems, everything comes on the basis of memories that we carry. So first of all, are the memories that we have from our childhood. And also when we are born, actually when we are conceived, we start to receive the memories of our ancestors. And we have direct influence of 7 generations of ancestors. Even though I read an article some time ago that I can't find it now, but the science could prove already that we have influence of 14 generations.
Wow, that would be
Actually,
amazing.
we have even more. So, but if we just consider 7 generations, this means at least 128 people from father's side and mother's side.
Yeah.
128 people is over 250. It's a lot of people. And when 7 generations, we go back around 400, 500 years. How was their lives? So everything is passed on. So this is something that I really enjoy, because I feel this is one of my passions, is really hypnotherapy. And the why I really feel this is so important is because it's not someone who is telling me what are my problems. When I'm in the session with a patient, that person can do this whole healing process within herself. I am just the facilitator. I'm guiding a process. And this is so beautiful, because the patient can experience the transformation within. So this is really wonderful, because sometimes we expect others to tell us, oh, this is your problem, you should do this, you should do that. But that is a response that is coming from the external. Healing is from inside out,
Right.
is never from outside in. So of course that when we have especially physical problems, we may need physical treatments as well. But the basic healing starts from our hearts. It starts from the standpoint of forgiveness, of compassion, of reframing our lives. Because there are a lot of pains that we carry that many times they were not even exactly like that. They came from our perception. So, and also if we look to our parents, for example, with compassion, because they did the best they could, they didn't know how to do better, And then we can start to feel in a different way that actually their lives were even more difficult than our lives were. And this really starts to bring peace in our hearts. So I healed my relationship with my mother. And when I healed my relationship with my mother, this was also very interesting, because it was not right in the beginning. This was something that I was postponing for a while, because it was very painful. It was difficult. So I kept postponing. But then one day I have in my blood tests the cancer cancer markers, they were high. So I knew that there was a problem that I really had to address, because 1 year and a half before that, I really had a deep, deep sadness with my mother. And in that moment, my mother, like mother's essence, died for me internally. So that grief created the problem. So once that I healed that, I repeated the blood tests. So I did 3 sessions, and then I repeated the blood tests, and it was okay. It was normal. And from that time on, my relationship with my mother changed totally. And the interesting is that she changed towards me, even though she was not the one doing hypnotherapy. you know. For example, one thing my mother always said, oh, we don't need to say to the children that we love them. We need to feed them, to educate them. This is what is important. And after that, just 2 or 3 months after that, my mother started to say, I love you. So
Mhm.
it's really amazing because the point is when we heal ourselves, we heal our families.
Right.
We heal our ancestors because past, present, and future, everything is connected within us. So we are healing everything that we bring from the past, and we are creating a new energy for the future for everyone surrounding us. And also, even as therapists, is very important. From the point that I healed myself, I can help others to heal. Because healing is not just saying, oh, yes, you can do it. If I don't believe it, if I didn't go through that. So, as therapists, I feel this is really important is this transparency, this authenticity. I have to be authentic. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I'm not. I continue to work on my challenges. But there are basic things that I need to have healed and solved within me. Otherwise, I don't have power in my voice to talk about it. So this has been my path. Besides that, I'm also Ambassador of Peace for Women's Federation for World Peace. And as you know, I teach in the SGLA Academy with Shlomo, which is also a great passion for me.
So let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to go backwards again, but you mentioned as a child, like we're talking about age 13, 14, you want a life purpose. You're questioning your purpose in life at the age of 13, 14. Most kids are in the playground with their friends.
Yeah,
I don't know, on swings and whatnot, but you're questioning, what is my life's purpose? So
it's very serious.
there had to have been um experiences you had in those 13 years that got you there. Can you
Yeah,
speak a little bit about those experiences?
yeah. As a child, and this started maybe when I was around 6 years old. This is what I remember clearly. And my mother is a good person. She has her own challenges, and I can understand that in any case, whatever I'm going to say is not a critic to criticize my mother, it's just to explain how
Yeah.
life was. So, for example, we were not rich people, but we are not poor as well. So we're like this middle class. And our neighbors, they had a young girl who was working there. She was around 10 years old and she was working, cleaning up the house and everything. And I was the only daughter until I was 9 years old. So because of that, I went to our backyard and I would talk with her because there were no other child around. So, and my mother didn't want. And then my mother would say many times that she is a working girl and you are a schoolgirl like this. And I kept saying, but she used another expression. I don't know exactly how to say this in English. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, she's a maid and you are a young child. Maid is like someone who works in people's house. Is it correct, this word?
Yes.
Maid? You are a maid?
Yeah.
She's a maid?
Housekeeper, maid. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, she's a maid
Yeah.
and you are a child, something like this. So
Right.
I would say to my mother, but she is the same like me. The only difference is that she works and I go to school. So during my whole life, in fact, but especially my childhood years and teenager, I couldn't stand injustice of any kind. So that's why, searching for life's purpose for me, this was something very important because it didn't make sense that people were just looking down at each other because they don't have the same social status.
Right.
So at that time in Portugal, there weren't really any kind of problems like different people from different countries or so on. There weren't this kind of situation, especially in my hometown. But this social status was something that I couldn't stand, or economical status. I couldn't stand this because I would say, we are all the same.
Yeah.
So this is when it starts, this is the background of
Right.
my search for life's purpose. I
Right.
couldn't stand injustice, separation. I couldn't see anyone different than me. So, and I couldn't stand that somebody would hurt people or treat them badly just because they had a different social condition. So that's why I say there has to be some purpose in this, because otherwise I really don't want to live. This was really serious for me. With 13 years old, I said, I don't want to live. I'd rather die, because what is this world of injustice, of poverty, of hunger, of war? For what?
Yeah.
I'd rather die. You
Yeah.
know, I save time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was difficult for my mother to listen.
Yes.
I can imagine, but yeah.
So, now when you were not feeling well, um, you haven't really talked about what specifically happened to you, and you healed, obviously. Otherwise, you're here right now. You're talking to me many, many years later. So, what do you think happened there? Because we're talking about how emotions are associated with our body and our illnesses. What do you think happened there? What do you
When
think?
I went to the hospital, actually, it's interesting you ask me that, because I never talked about this. But I feel this was my desire to die, because I had appendicite, but this was not appendicite. This was other level. It's called the peritonitis of the appendix. And I had no symptoms at all. So what happened is that on my birthday, there was a party and I mixed up a lot of food and then I threw up. And I was 3 days in bed. I didn't have anything that we could really find. I just couldn't get out of bed. And for me, the worst thing was to be in bed because I enjoyed school so much. For me, I hated vacations or weekends. I just wanted to be in school 365 days a year. So, not going to school, it was not me.
Right,
So, my mother knew that there was something wrong. And the reality is this, it's like if I would have no bones, I would try to get up from bed and I would collapse for 3 days. So then she took me to the hospital. And actually, it took many hours for the doctors to find out that I had something. And so finally, they found that I had a kind of abscess in my belly.
wow,
And they decided to have surgery that night. But they really didn't know what there was there, just that. So when they took that, they saw what was going on with the appendix. So then they said to my mother, this was a miracle. Just 2 or 3 hours more, and she would be dead. And I feel now, when I look back at that, I feel that I didn't want to live in this kind of world.
right.
So
That,
this was like a way of going softly because I had no pain, you know. And normally this gives a lot of pain. And I didn't have any kind of pain. So I was like, this is too
only
much.
symptom was that you were really tired and you just wanted to be in bed, basically.
Yeah, I couldn't move. I had no strength at all physically. It was really like if I would have no bones, my body couldn't stand.
Wow.
So then they figure out this. So after, of course, I became well, and And this is also something very interesting. Because of that surgery, I couldn't have children.
Wow.
But this is also another story that is interesting because I only found out how children are born when I was almost 11 years.
Right.
And I was in shock. I thought, the children go through there, babies go through there. I remember very well saying this.
Yes.
And I thought, oh no. you know, can you imagine almost an 11-year-old child saying, oh no, no,
Just like,
no.
no, no, not happening.
And then,
So you created that
actually,
reality too.
because of that, I got fibrosis in my fallopian tubes because of that surgery. But what is interesting is that at some point, it woke up a memory that if I would have a child by natural birth, I would die. And this was something very strange because I couldn't figure out why. I
Yeah.
never saw anyone who died because of birth. So I didn't even share this to people because I thought if I share this, they're going to think I'm crazy. There is no reason. All women have births. Why am I going to die? So I didn't say anything to anyone. And interesting is that several years ago, only just actually about 6 years ago, but this is a family story, so I don't want to go into that one because it's complicated. But anyway, 6 years ago, I found out that my grandmother from my father's side, my biological father's side, died in the birth of the fifth child, she and the baby.
Oh,
And
wow.
when I found out that, I realized I had my grandmother's memory. That's why when I heard how the children were born, it woke
It triggered that.
this memory within me. It's really amazing because, like, I couldn't understand why do I have this? It was so weird. And when I knew about that, then I thought, okay, now it makes sense.
Right.
So I was not born to be mother of a child, but to be mother of all
Got you.
as possible of everyone.
I know that feeling. Yeah, I don't have children either, so um so as a really young child, you already understood this idea that your ancestors are affecting your life.
As a child, the only thing concerning ancestors that I could really connect was seeing some spirits,
You saw.
especially in funerals.
Okay.
So I remember that I was in the funeral of my grandfather and I was 6 years old. And I remember this very well, and everybody was crying, and I was saying, why are you crying? He's here alive. So then, as a child, this was with the concerning ancestors, this is what I could really relate more. So I think the clear understanding of the connection that we have with the ancestors, it came later when I was a missionary,
Right.
because as a missionary also we believe that life goes on and that we have responsibility to take care of the world and also assume responsibility for our ancestors.
Right.
So I didn't have, as a missionary, I didn't have this understanding that we carry the burdens that we have to heal them in the heart. Was more like a heavy duty. Okay, maybe if I have to cross the desert, is because I'm paying off the debt of an ancestor. So
Right.
this understanding I had from 19 years old. But this sense of healing, if I heal me, I can heal them as well. This came with hypnotherapy.
So when you saw your beloved family member in the funeral, did they look identical to everyone else, or was there a difference? You could you tell a difference or not at all?
Mostly they were like they were, you know, in a better shape.
Okay.
In a better shape, but basically like that.
Wow.
Uh, my father died in the year of 2019, and it was midnight. And I had a vision, for example, with my father and his wife. She had passed away 6 months before, and they were both of them appearing them with a nicer look, not young, not young, but like with a nicer look. And my father told me, time is coming soon. And 2 hours later, my father died. And I was not with him because we were apart 400 kilometers. So, and I received that message that he was going to depart.
Wow.
So this is how I see them sometimes. I don't see all the time. I don't see like if I want to see, it's just the moments that it comes. But mostly it is my intuition. So I don't really, I'm not the kind of person who says, oh, I really want to see the spiritual world. Let it be. Because when we see everything, and not always is nice. So it's better just to feel through the heart, connect with our intuition, and let it be.
Yeah. Wow. It's quite amazing how different people, first of all, their experiences and then how they relate to those experiences and how those experiences interact with their life, and maybe not in that exact time period, but in the future then.
Mm-hmm.
And how memories interact with our thoughts in the future for us to make connections.
Yeah, everything is connected.
Everything is
And
connected.
in our subconscious mind, we have no idea. There
Yeah.
is so many things.
Yeah.
That's why many times our behavior as in our adult lives are conditioned by what we live in our childhood and sometimes in teenager years. But those first 7 years, we are totally in this hypnotic state and we trust everything. We absorb everything. We don't have filters to say what my father or my mother is saying is wrong or my teacher, because it's not just parents, it's figures of authorities, teachers, grandparents. We tend to believe everything they tell us about
The
who we
leaders.
are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many times we carry through life the story that we were told about who we are, not who we really are. And actually, even parents, they tend to look at their children, no matter if they are 50 years old, they tend to look at them at how they were when they were children or teenagers.
Right.
Many times they don't see, they keep saying, oh, but you did this, you did that, you were stubborn, you were this, you were that. Yeah, but that's not me anymore. I grew. I changed. I evolved.
Right.
But parents keep looking at the children in that way. So somehow it's like parents' mind didn't really evolve with the children. They always see them as small ones. So not all of parents, of course, we are always talking generally. But the relationship with parents is fundamental to heal, especially the relationship with mother. Because the relationship with the mother is the mother of our relationships. Mother is the first love. Mother is the one who carries us for 9 months. So
Yes.
children feel everything that the mother feels.
Yes. The prophet Islam said that paradise is at the feet of your mother.
Mm,
But I mean, you could take that statement very literally, but then if you really think about it, then what you're saying also takes you right back to that same thing that if you heal the relationship with your mother, your life will improve as a result, right?
I'm going to write that sentence because that is very beautiful
Yeah.
and it's very true.
Yeah.
because it's really paradise is at the feet of your mother, because in the sense that you heal the relationship with your mother, you feel free,
Yeah.
regardless if the mother or the father, if they transform themselves or not. But that is not our business. Our business is really to transform ourselves, to heal ourselves, to look with a new perspective. And really, things change. Really, it's a miracle in many ways. We can feel so much peace in our life when we
Right.
solve these fundamental questions because they have impact in everything. Like, people tend to find the husband or the wife who is identical to their parents
Right.
many, many times,
Yeah.
and they tend to behave with their children according to how they were treated by their parents.
Right. Because
And this is unconsciously.
it's a formula that repeats, right? It's a pattern that repeats until you resolve it.
Yeah. If it is not healed, if it's not solved, if you don't look at it, you continue. And normally, when people say, I will never do like my father or my mother, this is when they are going to do it more quickly,
Right. Wow.
because this comes out of an anger, you know, it doesn't come out of wisdom. So then they
Yeah.
repeat the patterns.
Watched a really good movie yesterday. It's called Illusion, and the it's Kirk Douglas that's the actor in it. He's the father, and he's dying, and the angel comes to him and shows him how he was so focused on his life that his children suffered, and in the story, basically, they show him how his son, suffered through life as a result of the father being focused on his life and not paying attention to the son and his life.
Mm,
Very,
yeah.
it's very good. It was a very good story.
Yeah, this is important that these matters are being brought up in movies, because this brings awareness to people. Because this relationship between parents and children, this topic just started to become more and more important, maybe in the last 40 years, 50 years the most, you
Yeah.
know. Up to that point, you don't talk much about this. It's like everything is okay, even if it is not. It
Yeah.
is, but actually now
Well,
we realize more and more.
sometimes you're afraid to talk, right? Sometimes because of something your parents said, you know, not allowed to talk or be quiet or whatever it was that kept being said to you. I mean, um, you know, I remember an incident where, getting me to be quiet basically made me stop talking to people, like just subconscious. I mean, obviously my voice would still come out if I wanted to, but I became shy and modest and didn't talk much, right? I wasn't a very social person as a result of in my childhood being suppressed. In my teenage life, I wasn't much of I was a very shy person. And
Yeah.
it's not till much later in my life that I became who I am now, who's like, I talk to everybody now, and everyone's always saying about, you know,
It takes an awareness within us and an expansion of our consciousness and healing at the
yes,
same time. Because for you to do this work now, you have healed yourself from that.
yes, and it almost if like I can't help it, like like who'd have thought that I'd be doing this, right? But I can't help it. Like I keep wanting to bring people to the forefront of humanity that I believe will help them. They'll change their lives. They'll even a small story here or there that they tell is going to make such an impact. Even if it makes an impact on one individual, then it's
Yeah.
worth it, right?
Yeah. And we are 8 billion people, I think. And we
Yes.
have 8 billion types of looking at life,
Yeah.
8 billion realities of life.
Right.
So we really need to develop an accepting heart and an embracing heart,
Yeah.
because, in a sense, everyone is right, in a sense. you know. They have their vision, which is filled with pain, with programmings, with memories. So they are basically blocked in that. So the more we share with each other, the more we accept, the more we forgive, the more we develop compassion, the more we can expand and really feel that life is beautiful and mankind is amazing. And we can do so many things when we get together and we let go so much trash that we carry, that we don't need, that doesn't serve us and doesn't serve anyone.
So I believe that, what I see outside of me is as a result of what's inside of me. So whether it's on a one-on-one level, whether it's on a community level, whether it's on the humanity level, ultimately it's I'm the creator of what's outside of me. So, I mean, it's sad to say that there's wars in the world right now. That's, it's huge. I mean, like our universal
Yeah.
consciousness is so docile still. It hasn't grown up yet. Our universal consciousness hasn't grown up yet. If it had, we wouldn't be seeing what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. And it's true that you said it's like we have our own lens.
Yeah.
We see the world through our lens. So that's why some people see life in a pink color, some
Yeah.
people see life in a gray color. But it's also a choice. How do I want to see life? What do I want to nurture myself from? Because if we keep looking at the news and bad things, we are nurturing ourselves. Our energy is being fed with that energy, with those bad things. So we also need to make a choice. I don't want this for me. And if I don't want this for me, maybe I can start to bring that energy to the ones who surround me,
Yeah.
more and more. So we have a lot of potential as mankind, so
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely.
It's just people don't realize how much beautiful power there is within their hearts, within their mind, within their whole body,
Yeah.
and how much we can really create a better world. So, but we really need to connect with our own purpose in life because we are not here just to see time passing by.
But look at us, like we're at this age in our life right now figuring this out. Can you imagine if this knowledge came to the children of our world, to the youth of our world, and that they would understand this and they would be able to recreate their life. Maybe not even recreate, they'd be able to create their life so that they don't fall into the pitfalls that we've all fallen into, right? So that
Yeah.
they know what to do. And, I don't know what it's going to take for the only way this world's going to change is if the new generation understands all these things, right?
Yeah, we are all part of this um, responsibility, all of us,
Yes.
because sometimes many people even say, like, oh, young people, they don't care. They are just looking at mobile phones and a lot of stuff, external stuff, technology, but actually they need an example, you know.
Wow. Absolutely.
So we need to be the example for the young people. Otherwise, where are they going to look for their standards? This is the point. And then people point the finger at them, but the people who point the finger at them, what are they doing? How are they living their lives? So they look at us, Normally young people, they have idols, wherever they are. So many times when I ask people, who was your idol as you were growing and as you are now? Who do you look up to? What are the values of your idol? You know, so we can all be this example, but people need to realize their importance because sometimes people say, oh, I'm nobody. I don't have any effect on this. We all have. There is no one who is meaningless, who hasn't a purpose. We all have. The
Absolutely.
point is that many times people are just so spaced out in their survival mode that they cannot open their hearts to more than that. So we need to get out of that survival mode, which is not just externally, is internally, because there are people who are not in the survival mode, who are rich, for example, talking about money, but internally, emotionally, they are actually in survival mode. They are looking for love.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
survival mode is not just a money thing, is many times also emotional.
Yes.
So people are starving for love.
Mhm.
And when they are starving for love, who do they meet? People who are starving as well.
Right. So, okay, we talked about many things. You talked about how your path of education went to a path of holistic and acupressure and hypnotherapy, and we understand a little bit about how you got to these paths and how you chose these paths. Now, talk a little bit how these things, once you got the education, how it came to be that you decided that you wanted to use this to help other people.
Because there is no other way. It's simple. Everything that I learn all the time, I bring to others because this is what I feel it is my purpose. So, as I said, from very young, I was looking for life's purpose and I felt I want to do something to create a better world. So that's why then I became a missionary. I left everything behind, studies, house, everything,
Yes.
my comfort, everything, because I wanted to help to create a better world. So even though when I was not a missionary anymore, I wanted to continue to take care of people so that they could have a better lives from the health point of view, happiness, mental, all levels. Because I think we need everything that we learn, not just intellectually, but everything that we learn in life through our wisdom. We need to pass on that because it is the wisdom that can bring more life, that can bring example to people. It's like there is this word, this sentence in the Bible that the truth sets you free. But actually, only love can heal you.
Right.
So, intellectual knowledge can help people to expand their minds, definitely. There can be expansion because if you think the world is this small and then you realize, wow, the world actually is huge, this changes your perception, right?
Yes.
But what really transform our lives is love, is wisdom, is healing, is compassion. So I always wanted to bring this to others. So everything that I studied, that I put in practice, I share either through my teachings, either through my appointments with the patients. I bring them all of the tools that worked with me so that they can try and practice and see and if it works with them. Because it doesn't mean that everything that I share and that I teach that is effective for everyone. For example, with hypnotherapy, for me is one of the greatest tools in healing, but it doesn't mean it is for everyone. There
Yes.
are people who with whom just it doesn't work much. Maybe they need another approach, and it's okay.
Right.
So we need to have also this respect because we are all different. And as we are all different, things work out for us also in different way. So for some people, it can be hypnotherapy. For other people, it can be acupuncture. It can be meditation. It can be fasting. It can be a retreat. It can be many, 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 many things that can touch their hearts. But what I feel it is to all all of us, the responsibility is to share kindness in the world.
Right.
Because when we share kindness and compassion, we can touch another person's heart to be transformed as well. So without this, it's just words. And words are not enough.
I mean,
we need the emotion.
in our educational system, right? If you're a doctor, you would put the initials MD beside your name, right? Isabel Costa MD. But like, there should be an SD, a spiritual doctor or something.
That would be nice.
So that people can find these beautiful, amazing, wonderful people that help people on a different level. Of course, we need the medical doctors and the physical doctors, but how come we've forgotten we need these spiritual doctors as well? How come we've
Yes.
forgotten that there's more to us than our physical being? There's more to us that that tear we experience should be a sign instantly that, wait a minute, I need to look at this. Why am I sad? Or when you raise your voice, wait a minute, why am I getting angry? What's going on? I've got I've hit some kind of plateau where I'm sick, you know. I need to get to a spiritual doctor. And this is a sign I'm sick. It's a symptom. These should be symptoms: sadness, anger, fear. Uh, you know, uh, it's probably crazy what I'm saying, but it's coming to me now as I'm talking to you. And so the next question is, how would I find you? What would I be looking for to find you? And as a practitioner or facilitator, and maybe you can share some examples of clients you've had who've come to you and that what has happened has been so profound, so amazing that the story could affect and change someone else.
Wow, there are so many stories. I have situations of people with cancer um, that I keep following them through the process. Because, for example, when I have a patient with cancer, I don't tell them, like, oh, you should do only hypnotherapy or this or that. No, I respect everything the person wants. I'm there to support
Right.
whatever the person is doing. Like, for example, today I had a patient who just started the chemotherapy. She was in the chemotherapy, and I was doing meditation with her during some time. So I support whatever people choose to do, because like in the case of cancer, it is always important to look at the cause. But whatever the person chooses to be treated with, I don't say, no, you shouldn't. I'm just there to support you in whatever you choose. If you want to go the conventional way, or if you want to go the alternative way, I'm there to support you, not to tell you what you should do.
Right.
That's what I feel hypnotherapy is so important. I'm not telling people what they should do about their lives. I'm there to supporting them in their way of healing, which is a conscious way. It is, I want to heal myself.
Yeah.
It's not heal me. you know
Yeah.
okay, I'm here to help you on the way, because we cannot have conscious mind and subconscious mind at the same time. So there is a lot, like, for example, people have very few side effects of chemotherapy, being totally healed with cancer after going whatever processes they choose, overcoming fears. For example, I had one very nice one. And this was, was really scared of dogs.
Oh,
And in 2 sessions, that fear was gone. And her boyfriend had the two big dogs. So she recorded a video playing with the big dogs. This lady, she wouldn't be in the same room of a puppy, you know, because
yeah.
she would be really scared. And then suddenly she sends me a video playing with two huge dogs. One was a German Shepherd. So you know, so there are so many things. People healing relationship with their parents, finding their self-esteem, liberating sadness, reframing their lives, connecting with their hearts, feeling what is their life's purpose, what they want to do in life. Hypnotherapy is very vast. There are so many, many, many things. It helps us to connect with spirituality as well. It is not just to be dwelling in the past, you
Yes.
know. Okay, we look at this. Oh, this is the problem. Okay, let's reframe it, heal it, create a new story, move forward.
Yeah.
And there are some situations that when you heal from the base, you don't need to keep going there over and over and over, because now we can reframe this everything in such a positive way, and it transforms our energy.
Right.
So there is all topics can be dealt with hypnotherapy. So it's really a beautiful process. Whether it's, for example, people are afraid to talk in public,
Yeah.
they are afraid going to an exam. So we can prepare this conditioning, for the situations, and people feel much relaxed. It doesn't mean that there is any little fear, because I think everybody, when we speak in public, there is always something, some butterfly in the stomach, but it will be a very little butterfly, not a giant butterfly. So there are many, many things that we can really take care of.
So I met you through an organization called SGLA, and the man who runs SGLA or is the founder of SGLA, Shlomo Shoham. And so now, can you talk a little bit about how you met Shlomo and how this um, connection happened? What brings you to SGLA and your interaction with Shlomo and maybe others that make you feel to be a part of SGLA?
SGLA is really great. This was another process of transformation in my life. So I started in SGLA in May 2020. And the first time that I had an interview with Shlomo, it was so deep. We connected so quickly with each other. It's like we have the same kind of way of looking to life and looking towards the future, looking towards the purpose, this connection of we can do something to transform this world. So
Right.
I joined SGLA, and then it was very interesting because the first time we did the future imagery meditation, seeing ourselves within 7 years, it happened that I saw myself in Africa. This was a vision that came to me. I did not create. I saw myself in Africa teaching to African women from many different countries on how to liberate women's heart from suffering.
Wow.
And I thought, how on earth am I going to do this? you know? But the following week, I joined the International Committee of the Women's Federation for World Peace, the International Education Committee.
Wow.
And we have people from all over the world. So at some point, it came up because I was already a teacher and I give a lot of online courses. It came up this idea, well, why don't you teach to African women? And I thought, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So even before
Next
our
mission.
course finished, I was teaching to African women from many different countries in Africa
Wow.
about how to liberate women's heart from suffering. And this was mind blowing for me because I always had this understanding that everything that we do in the present, it will transform the future. If I want a nice future, I have to create the most beautiful present, the nice present. And anyway, and what really brought me a new awareness is that when you create your future, it's not within 7 years. What I saw within 7 years happened within 2 months. So, and I started to understand, wow, everything that we create, which is nothing, this is not really new, but for me it was,
Yes,
you
of
know.
course.
For me, it was this understanding that when I open myself to create also the best future, to think of it, to feel it in my body, everything is set in motion to happen. So I continue in SGLA, and I did all of the different courses. And at some point, sorry, and at some point, it was the desire to be a teacher in SGLA.
Wow.
And suddenly, Shlomo invited me to be a teacher in SGLA.
Isn't that amazing?
So
I was born in Africa. I'm a woman, and you taught me, so you can add me to your.
So it has been an amazing process. And I feel I am already in SGLA for 4.5 years. And I feel all the time I am developing myself. I am growing every time. Even with the meditations, each time there is something new. Each time I feel I go deeper within myself. And I'm really grateful to Shlomo for presenting me this new vision of life. So when I look at my life, it's like there has been all these different steps, learning, growing, evolving, getting wisdom. It is really beautiful because life is so amazing, you know. And I feel my life is always in the beginning. Each day is a beginning. So NSGLA also brings me this that we can do so much, we can create so much. There are no limits. The limitations are just in our minds.
I say it's magical. Life's
Yes,
magical.
life is magical. So SGLA brought me this, and Shlomo has an incredible vision to really create the brightest future now.
Isn't that amazing?
Everything is happening now. And we can see in the lessons so many transformations, even physical healings of people,
Yes.
even physical healings. So it's really incredible. And I'm so grateful for this path in SGLA. So this is my most recent path. I don't know what will come next. Only God knows. But I trust. I trust that the universe always bring the best people, the best circumstances. And of course, there are challenges, but this is normal. If we don't have challenges in life, also we don't develop the muscle of our heart even more.
Yes. And we don't learn
So,
new things, right? It's the challenges that give us the aha moments. It's the griefs that give us the aha moments. It's the
yeah,
storms that give us the aha moments. Make
everything
us
is part of
stop and
life.
revisit and relook at things.
Yeah, the good and the not so good. But all of them are part of who we are today.
Right.
So it is really amazing. Even when I look back in my life and I see even the people with whom the experience was not so good, if they wouldn't have existed in my life, I wouldn't have learned what I learned with them and transformed myself. So they were important. There was pain involved, yes, but they were important.
Yes. Probably maybe even more important than the other situations that we experience, right?
Yeah, everything we don't know, but actually everything is so important to make up who we are today. You know, we are the result of all of the experiences we lived, everything that we feel that we live, and how much we serve others. This is also very important. So we are here at service
So it's
all
time to
the
write a
time.
book, Isabel.
Sorry?
It's time to write a book. There's so many experiences you've had. There's so much knowledge you've seized, wisdom you've seized that nobody has but you, and it needs
Now
to.
that you mentioned the book is very interesting because in September, it was very interesting. In September, we had a meditation again, the future imagery. And in the future imagery, I find my future self asking me, when are you going to write the book? And I said, oh my goodness, I have this book started. I have to really put this in motion. And 2 weeks after this, I wrote already 2 books on nutrition.
Beautiful.
And I was with my editor in a fair, and my editor asked, when are you going to write your next book? And I said, I'm writing it. And he said, okay, you have until March to do it.
Written
You
two
know,
books already?
sorry?
Written two books already?
Yes, I wrote 2 books on nutrition.
So what are the titles? And
They are in Portuguese. They are already finished editions. One of them had 3 editions, that one had 2. And this was the first book I wrote was 2014, and the other one 2 years later. So the first book I wrote was actually the first book written and published in Portugal about raw food. And the second one is about gluten-free, lactose-free, vegetarian, of course, for children. But this one is a self-development book that I started. So my editor said, you have until March next year to do it. So my future self came and said, what are you waiting to write the book?
absolutely. I'm
And I
getting
thought, oh my goodness. And then 2 weeks later, my editor asked me that. So again, future imagery in motion. And now you ask me about that.
I'm just the messenger.
Yes, the messenger that is saying, write it, write it. I've not been having much time. So, yeah, I need to really put myself at work.
So, okay, so you got two books out and they're in Portuguese, and the other thing you got to do is get them into English so we can get them into more people's hands. You have a new
Actually,
book,
that one I want to write it in English as well. Maybe as an ebook,
right?
because it will be easier, for English, probably in Portuguese in paper, but maybe later on in Amazon, I don't know, in as ebook, because in Amazon also people can choose to have it in a book
Right.
paper as well. So yeah,
So
this is my goal.
you mentioned raw food, gluten-free, vegetarian. So just briefly tell us about your view on what's the best path for an individual.
So again, each person is unique. Um, what I feel for me, my personal choice is being a vegetarian, you know. But I can't say for everyone that they should stop eating meat because, again, like healing, this is a very personal choice. But what I normally say is please eat little meat, you
Right.
know, maybe like 2 times a week or something like this. We don't need to keep eating meat all the time. I don't do it since 1988, and I cannot even imagine. For me, eating a cow or pig is like eating a pet. I don't see difference, Maybe for some people listening to them, they say, "Oh, she's silly," but people don't really look into the animal's eyes, you know. If you look into a cow's eyes, they are so gentle. So I cannot imagine eating that animal.
The prophets, the process for killing an animal, you have to look into the eyes of the animal before you cut the animal. You have to see tears in the animal's eyes before you cut the animal, and then you can cut the animal. It's a really
Yeah,
amazing thing because I believe the prophet was doing that so that it deters people from cutting the animal.
exactly,
You know,
exactly. If you really look into the animal's eyes, you cannot kill them. You cannot eat them. It's really something. It is very difficult for me. So anyway, but again, this is a personal transformation because even to change your diet, it has to come from inside. Because
yeah.
if it is from outside, it's just like a fashion, and then at some point it will go away. You will not continue.
Well, it's
So,
interesting.
but when you really transform from within, you change the diet. You transform the diet. You don't want to go that path anymore.
Yes. Yeah. It's
So eating.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say it's interesting because there's people that are meat eaters, become vegetarian, and then they go back to eating meat for whatever reason. And And I don't know if it's people in their lives that affect them to change that or their own decisions. And whether it's your own decision or whether it's something outside of you influencing you, or whether it's a fear, whether it's, there's so many things that determine what we eat and why we eat it.
Yeah, there are many, many things, in fact. That's why, the transformation has to come from inside. You need to be very clear on what you want. So if you are not that clear, you are going to do all kinds of fashion diets and you never know what to eat.
Yeah,
So we need to connect with our heart and we need to connect with our body because actually people know what is healthy and what is not.
yeah,
They may not know up to the details, but I'm sure that everyone knows like fried food is not good, sodas are not good, sweets are not good. So everybody knows about this, right? So it is important to really connect with the heart because we are the ones who are supposed to take care of our body.
right.
We cannot leave that responsibility up to the doctor
Mhm.
and then go to the doctor and say, oh, I want medicines, but did you change your nutrition? And I know cases of this. No, I don't want to change my nutrition. I just want medicine.
Yeah,
So we are putting others responsible for our choices and then having the responsibility to make us healthier. But
yeah,
that has to start within us. You know, we need to really treat our body with respect. Our body is like our vehicle. Do people put the wrong gas in the car? They don't.
yeah.
So why do we put the wrong food in our body? We destroy our body. So that's why people destroy the body, destroy the planet, destroy everything.
But
So
also,
it has to come with a connection to the heart.
when it comes to like, I mean, the vehicle and the gas is sort of a flawed analogy because you know your car, you know the gas for your car, and there's only so many choices. And the bad choices aren't there for the vehicle where there's all these bad choices everywhere for human beings. It's not
Yeah.
like, not three things to choose from. It's like here, here's another bad thing, here's another bad thing, and they make it readily available, that's the whole thing. Just like teaching children about their emotions is important. I believe there needs to be a nutritional body that regulates what what comes into circulation so that we don't eat stuff that isn't good for us. But our world is not run on you know what it is that our human beings require. It's run on what's financially most um, profitable,
Yes, exactly. That's the big problem.
and that's the
And
problem.
actually, people end up getting confused many times as well. But some basic things. That's why I say there are many situations that the publicity, the companies, they really messed up these things. But there are some basic things that everyone knows. You know,
Yes,
avoid processed foods,
yes,
avoid sodas, avoid alcohol,
yes,
avoid coffee, especially too much coffee. It's like alcohol is not like, okay, you can drink a little bit of wine, but don't get drunk, you know. So you can take a cup of coffee or two, but don't take liters of coffee, you
yes,
know. So be careful with the dairies as well. Don't take too many dairies or avoid it because especially milk, we don't need milk. Only babies need milk. Adults don't need milk. But this is really a lot of something to talk about.
it's fascinating because I hadn't drank milk in I don't know how many years, and all of a sudden I had a craving for milk.
Hmm.
And when I drank it, so I went and bought it, I drank it, and it felt so good to drink milk for some reason. So there must have been something my body knew that I didn't know that it made me go and get the milk to drink it. And then, 2 or 3 days later, it's like, I don't like it anymore. And I stopped drinking.
Mm,
But maybe I needed it for those few days that, I drank it. And I always listen to my body. Same with meat. I've been a vegetarian for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden I started craving chicken.
mm,
And so
interesting.
I always listen to what the craving is. And I also, meditate on, what's causing this craving? Is it me? Is it inside me? Is it outside me? What is it? Like,
Mm,
and sometimes I get answers and sometimes I don't, but
yeah,
I'll follow the feeling, I guess.
there can be a need in the moment, you
Yeah.
know, but doesn't mean that you are going back to
No,
do it all the time. So there can be a
yeah.
need in the moment. And sometimes, for example, even the case of you feeling good, maybe this brought up some nice memory from childhood with the
Yes.
milk
Yeah.
and made you feel good, you know. So, but this is, once in a while. But what I mean is all the time.
Yes. Absolutely.
So avoiding dairies, especially milk, because yogurt, especially kefir, is very good for our bowels. Kefir is really very good and can be done either with milk or with water. It can be done in different ways.
So you can drink milk, but you should eat yogurt.
Yogurt is good because yogurt already has some good bacteria, you
Right.
know. So, but natural yogurt, not yogurt filled with sugar, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
It's natural plain yogurt.
yes.
It's even possible to do at home. So it is healthy. Um, so I know there are many diet philosophies in America, but for me, I feel the base is drink a lot of water, drink alkaline, drink juices, vegetable juices, and juices is really to separate the liquid from the how do you say,
Solid.
from the solid. Yeah. Okay. Because sometimes people blend everything. This is not a juice. This is a smoothie.
Right.
So, and when you mix bananas with spinaches and so on, it's a lot of confusion. Simple is the best, like a juice with a cucumber, spinach, one apple, and a little bit of ginger and lemon. That's it. Juice, not smoothie, you know. So some juices like this, simple juices, so water, juices, green leaf vegetables, root vegetables, fruits, organic grains, sweet potato,
Yeah.
and some, what do you call this? Probiotic foods, like, for example, the kefir. Also, there is kimchi, which is really wonderful. Sauerkraut in English. This is German word. It's cabbage,
Yes.
like acid. I don't remember the name of this in English. Some seaweed, nuts, walnuts, almonds, nuts. So we have a lot. There are so much variety
Yes.
in food. There's so much variety. We don't need to be eating meat with French fries all the time. So variety and small amounts. And keep it simple. I think some things are basic. Small amounts, keep it simple, and variety.
Amazing.
I think these are basic things for a good nutrition. You know,
Thank you.
nature has so many things to give us, so many. So we can try different things, different tastes and everything.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you so much. I mean, I could talk to you forever. There's so much wisdom here. There's so much to discuss and so many questions that could be answered. But we can do another one. We could do another interview, maybe subject related interview where we delve in deeper into a specific area. Maybe we could choose nutrition next time and delve into
Mm-hmm.
that. And that'll be fascinating. So, just to sum up or end here, um, I've exhausted my questions for today, anyways. But is there something you want to share with the audience, like a message you want to leave them with, or something that you know?
Yeah, I would like to say believe in yourself, believe in the greatness that there is within your heart, and do acts, random acts of kindness to everyone, because we don't know what a simple act of kindness can save someone's life. Sometimes, even just to say hello, sometimes just to help out someone who is carrying a bag, heavy bag. We don't know. There is so much that we can do for each other, and if we live in a spirit of kindness, goodwill, and service, we can create our little heaven wherever we are. And we can help people to feel that they can pass on, they can like pay it forward, this energy they can pass on to others, because the kingdom of heaven starts with little things that we create here. We cannot expect just it come down from heaven, but we can create it here. All of us, we are all needed. Each one is important because we are all different. And if one single person would be missing, mankind would be more poor.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you so much. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
It was a pleasure. I enjoyed our interview. It was fun, and I look forward to future connections with you.
Thank you very much, Ahiros. May God bless you always, and all of your viewers. May they all have a blessed life.
Back at you.
Thank you.